Morning, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. So on your formula sheet, I want you to add two things to the bottom of your formula sheet. Parallel lines have the same slope. So parallel lines look like this, lines that are never going to cross. Perpendicular lines are, their slope is the opposite reciprocal. What that means is if I have 2/3 as a slope, the opposite reciprocal would be a negative, then the reciprocal is 3/2. Now perpendicular lines look like this. They make a right angle when they cross. So add those two things at the bottom of your formula sheet. So like we said, parallel and perpendicular lines. Perpendicular, the slopes are opposite reciprocals, so the opposite reciprocal of 2 is -1/2. The opposite reciprocal of -2/3 is 3/2. Parallel lines, you can notice that they have two perpendicular lines two parallel lines right in the name. Parallel lines have the same slope. So parallel lines, they could be 2 and 2, or -1/3 and -1/3. They have the same slope. So let's start off with perpendicular lines. So when I look at this picture, I see a perpendicular line. I see two lines going across here and here. Now those make 4 right angles, one here, one here, one here, and one here. Those are perpendicular lines. So if we take a look at these first two equations, it says write an equation of the line that passes through the given point and is perpendicular to the given line. So what we need to do is first find what our equation would look like in slope-intercept form. So right now we have 2x plus 7y equals 14. So what we're going to do first is subtract 2x and get 7y equals a -2x plus 14. Divide by 7, and we get y equals -2/7x plus 2. So that is our first line. So we can graph that by starting at 2 and then going down -2 and over 7. So down 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 will give us there. Opposite of that is up 2 and over the other way 7. So we get a line going like that. Now, the perpendicular slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal. So the opposite reciprocal of this line will be a positive 7/2. And how we figure this out is we got to put this into our slope-intercept form. We know that x is -4 and y is -10. So I'm going to start with -10 equals, this time I'm going to use my perpendicular slope, 7/2 times a -4. We're going to find b using this equation. So what we'll get is -10 equals -28/2 plus b. What that equals is -10 a -14 plus b. Then we would add 14 to both sides, and b is going to equal a +4. So b equals 4. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and put a point there. Now my slope says 7/2, so I could go up 7, but in this one I can't go up, 7. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now over to the left 2 so I can make a line. Now these two lines are perpendicular because they make some right angles when they cross. Next one we have in point slope form, so we need to first get it to slope intercept. So I'm going to multiply 3 times x and 3 times negative 1. So we'll have y plus 2 equals 3x minus 3. Subtract the 2, and we get y equals 3x minus 5. So we got to start there then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5. And we're going up 3 and over 1. So we can draw our line going like that. So now, our perpendicular line, though, is going to be the opposite reciprocal. So the opposite reciprocal of 3 is going to be a negative 1 over 3, because 3 over 1 is what it was originally. So a negative 1 over 3 will be our slope. So in this case, x is negative 6 and y is 1. So 1 equals negative 1 over 3 times negative 6 plus b. We got to find our b. 1 is going to equal a positive 6 over 3 plus b. And that can simplify to 1 equals 2 plus b. If I subtract 2, b is going to equal a negative 1. So our equation will then be y equals negative 1/3 x minus 1. So down to negative 1, that's where our first point is. And down 1 and over 1, 2, 3. So if we draw that line there, then we'll get some perpendicular lines. Now, parallel lines. If you like to think about railroad tracks, we have tons of parallel lines in these. We have parallel lines just for the tracks. They are parallel to each other. Then each railroad tie in the middle is parallel. To each other. So let's look at some parallel lines then. First one, write an equation of a line that passes through the given point that's parallel. So this one, it's already in slope-intercept form, and our slope is 1/2. Now parallel lines have the same slope. So we know that our slope is going to be 1/2. So now I'm going to put that into our equation to find b. So we have a negative 5 equals 1/2 times 2 plus b. So negative 5 is going to equal 1 plus b. Subtract 1. And b equals a negative 6. So our new equation is going to be y equals 1/2 x minus 6. So let's graph the first one first, though. So we need to start at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going up 1 and over 2. The next one starts at negative 6, so negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going up 1 and over 2 as well. So this one will be parallel, just a little farther down. They'll never cross. Next one, we're going to subtract 2x. So we will get 7y equals a negative 2x plus 14 divided by 7. And we get y equals a negative 2 over 7x plus 2. So that is going to start at positive 2 and going to go up 2, or no, actually down 2 because it's negative, and over 7. Or now up 2 and over 7 to do the opposite. Now, the perpendicular, not the perpendicular, the parallel is also going to have the same slope, negative 2 over 7. So we got to put that into another equation. So it's going to be a negative 1 equals negative 2 over 7 times a negative 14 plus b. So negative 1 equals a positive 28 over 7 plus b, which is actually negative 1 equals 4 plus b. If we subtract 4, b is going to equal a negative 5. So we go down negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we just need to graph that. So I'm going to go up 2 and over 7. So I can draw my line here.